into the Eric Zane Show podcast. Daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures each and every day of the work week. The usual crew behind me. Bruce, fast asleep. O'Neill over there, cashed out. Darla, still raising hell, chewing on something which will probably wind up being consumed, and then it will show up later on my front lawn. Yesterday was the day for my final blood draw post-kidney donation. The kidney team likes to make sure that after the kidney donation that my health is in good order. What this does is they then take these statistics of yet another success, and then they can publicize that such a high percentage of people have good results when it comes to donating a kidney, and then that helps them so that more people donate kidneys. There have been people that haven't fared well with a kidney donation, and that's the last thing they want. But I've passed with flying colors in every moment that has happened, that they follow up with another blood draw, make sure that my system's operating appropriately. Well, this was the final one. It's been more than 2 years. In fact, I was supposed to get this done a couple months ago, but it kept falling through the cracks. So I kept putting it off. And I don't know, maybe one of the reasons why I kept putting it off is because I knew deep down that I would have to interact with the blood Nazi. Now, I liked to pride myself after our first interaction, which was horrible, as being a charmer where I always have a goal of trying to make her happy and do what she tells me to do and try to charm her, kind of like she's a dominatrix. So you got a picture. She's about 5'2", 100 pounds, maybe. Short, black hair, black lady. Looks like a taller version of Gary Coleman with glasses. And the first time I walked in, she said, "What do you want?" This is at this lab that everybody goes to, like, get when you need like a drug test for your work, you go to this place. It's called Quest Labs. They're everywhere. And everything I said, it was just like met with real aggressive, it's been a while, so I forget some of I actually have a show back when it happened. My first interaction with this lady known as the Blood Nazi, who I tried the old no mask, and she was like, "Oh my God, put a mask on." So I like put my shirt over my face. She goes, "No." Maybe that might have been after the kidney donation, but this chick was just so pissed. I remember I walked in there. They close at 3:30. Which is weird. Every day I walk in there like 2:45, and it was one of my big blood draws. Like, they needed a lot of blood, and she knew that this was going to take some time, and she said, "Look, we're closing at 3:30. And she's got 45 minutes to get this done." She goes, "This is going to take too long. You got to leave." I'm like, "I got to leave? What do you?" She actually sent me somewhere else. Stand by. So, and then every time I'd be in the waiting room, if someone else comes in, and she's just quick to like scream at these people. And I'm like, how the fuck is she working? I mean, this type of aggressive handling of the consumers as they come in seems so beyond the scope of what anybody would tolerate, But over time, I started to look at this as a challenge. You know, I'd walk in and I'd make sure that I didn't step one toe out of line. Answer yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Answer quickly. And fuck, there was one time that I needed a last minute blood draw because like a week before the donation, some doctor in Los Angeles saw something he didn't like or something like that. I needed one. And she was like, no, we can't do it. And I'm like, look, I need to get this done. And here's why. If this doesn't happen quickly, like my recipient, this might not happen when it's supposed to. And we've all planned I booked tickets to go to Los Angeles. I have all sorts of things in place logistically. And if I can't do this because you won't take my blood, and I think I actually reasoned my way into her soul and she was able to do it. You know, she realized that, there is some sense inside of the blood Nazi. Oh my God. So then follow up, I meet for these appointments and, they're very routine. I think I was making her somewhat moist with my willingness to I think she gets off on like bossing people around. What are they? It's like a dominatrix. I actually think it was sexual. I think she was starting to piddle. So, but I'm still a little bit sheepish, a little bit concerned about going to see her. Now, she's got this cantankerous sounding, I don't remember the TV show Sanford and Son. Fred, Red Fox, he had this, he was always insulting Aunt Esther. Fred, and some of you might remember that. And he'd say these horrible things to her. He'd say, "You're so ugly," and if your face was a cookie, they'd be gorilla cookies. Like he'd actually would say that shit on TV. My God. Well, she's like that. She's that loud and obnoxious. So when you walk into this place, on the other side, there's a doorway. You walk into the little entry lobby area, and then there's a doorway into where all the blood is drawn. And the second you walk in, you hear every time. And I open the door, and I'm at the little kiosk checking in, and I don't hear black lady voice. I'm like, something's up. She might not be here today. Hang on. Tyler points out he works in the industry. There's nothing she would be doing that should take her that long. You are correct. She just didn't want to work. That's what was up. Hang on a second. Got to put this puppy on the couch. Did you see her jump off, by the way? She's totally got the legs that jump off now. Need a little drink of water. Corey just got 7 ads on the live stream. Oh, Jesus. I'm so sorry. What are you using your free one with? Some video gaming platform or some video gaming channel or some shit? Walk in there. All I hear is white women voices. Huh. So I got to know what happened. And I see the lady who's working with, it's 2 women I've never seen before. So I just start a little conversation with the lady, and I realized I was in a safe zone. Both of these women did not seem to have that aggressive, ball-busting nature about them, And so I got up the nerve to say, now there was a lady that used to work here, and then I got that far into the discussion, and she goes, Catherine, I go, yeah, she was. And then she goes, black. She like, I go, yeah. What happened to Catherine? She retired. Catherine, the blood Nazi, is no more. She's out of the game. I go, oh my God. I go, I used to make it a point of pride to try to like get her to smile, crack a smile or anything. And she goes, oh yeah, she was tough. Now I wanted to ask the question. I wanted to say, how the fuck was she even like allowed to work? And I don't know, maybe it has to do because she's a black chick. That maybe, I don't know. But I mean, she was fucking vicious. She was brutal. These two were great. And then the lady I'm talking to at one point, she goes, are you the radio guy? I go, yeah, which is always fun. I always love it when people do that. We even had a little jokey where at the end she goes, okay, now you need to confirm all this. Is it? She had typed it out and wrote out the little affidavit. And she says, is this your name? I said, yes. Date of birth? Yes. Address? And I go, you forgot to write incredibly handsome. And the other goes, yeah, for $20, she'll do that for you. I'm like, yeah, you want me to have sex with you, don't you? So that's kind of where it ended. It was like anticlimactic. I wish I had more, but this closes the book on any type of kidney follow-up. More than 2 years after it all went down, and I just wish that the clinic that they did this at, they would record the year's worth of interactions that Catherine has had with the public. I mean, she was one of a kind. But no, she's done. Holy cow. The blood Nazi has done. May she have a wonderful retirement. In fact, the lady I was dealing with who, she goes, she got a lot of crap about being a tough cookie, but she was the most fun, sweetest lady. And now what I wanted to say was that's bullshit. She wasn't fun in any way. Maybe to you, but I mean, to people that came into here, they were treated horribly. The only reason it's a miracle that this place did not get shot up. You know how it is. You piss anybody off these days, your place is going to get shot up. That's the way it is. Thank God that didn't happen. All right. Dear Meathead in 45 minutes. I think I'm pretty lean on questions. Mark sent one. That's it. If you have a question for Dad on Dear Meathead, Eric at ericzaneshow.com. Please send it along. I had a conversation with him yesterday. I went into it under the, okay, don't think 2-3 steps ahead. Ask him questions in the current foreseeable future, like moments. Conversation started. Where are you? Always wants to know where I am. I go, I'm out in front of my house. Well, I just got done running, and now I'm walking around the cul-de-sac out in front of my house. 30 seconds later, he asked me if I was up north. No, sir. Everything's yes, sir, no, sir. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I am getting more and more of a prominent vibe that with the shortcomings of his brain right now. They're manifesting in a more articulated fashion. he keeps asking me the same thing about some of the characteristics of the up north property that he used to own. Things that are leaving his brain that I'm shocked that it's getting to this point. And it's starting to, I think it's starting to like have a, well, I mean, how could it have anything but a negative effect? But I'm just starting to wonder. Because his health is incredibly strong. Outside of his balance, I think all systems are in top order for his age, 89 years old. But so I don't know. I'm starting to have like a little tickle in the back of my brain about just life in general. But anyway, Dad will be with us coming up on Dear Meathead at the top of the hour, as they say. Okay, now, Ben and Eric. Now, we're doing that tonight at 7 p.m. on Patreon, the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. Typically, Ben and I record Who Are These Zanes, reviewing my old radio work. Before that, like 6:15, and then we shoot the shit for about 30, 40 minutes and then wrap it up and then start on the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. However, and I had promoted this. Ben informed me that life has gotten in the way. First of all, he starts with, my girlfriend, your fiance, my fiance reminded me we're seeing a venue tomorrow. I can record Ben and Eric at 7. I just won't have time before. For Who Are These Zanes? That's going to break a lot of people's hearts. People love that show. He says, however, I'm available Thursday and Friday for Who Are These Zanes? Now, I'm not. I'm going up north to work on the property with Charity Scam Mike and Sue's husband, Jim Marquis, who does not have a nickname. I might have to give him a nickname. To Stress Ball Jim. He gets a little fidgety and antsy. You ever have anybody in your life that something's coming up and they kind of get a little nervous Nelly, stressed about it, as opposed to like, we're going to do fine. We're going to do fine guy. Charity Scam Mike is, we got this guy. Stress Ball Jim's like, I'm a wee bit stressed. I don't know. Something could go wrong. It might rain. Don't worry about it. All right. So because I'm going up to hang out with Charity Scam Mike and Stress Ball Jim on Thursday, that means I cannot record Thursday. All day Wednesday or Friday, I'll be working. And then I'm coming back Saturday, just in time to like maybe unpack, and then I have a football game to do in Muskegon. So what I'm telling you is that I'm going to punt on Who Are These Zanes? Not for lack of trying. I was a little bummed out about that. I hope you're okay with that. I like to keep you informed. Meanwhile, Who Are These Free Beers? Similar show, but reviewing current episodes of the Free Beer and Hot Wings show and putting our critiques on them. I don't want you to get the idea that this is just going to be personal attacks. It's not. It's going to be strictly listening to the content. And Ben and I, who we've been doing this sort of thing for quite some time, talking about what happened in that segment. Okay. And this was brought about after I reviewed them on Who Are These Podcasts. And then the idea was born for Who Are These Free Beers? And who better to do that than people who used to work on the show? Okay. Personal feelings aside, and there are plenty of personal feelings, as you would guess. And there is an audience for it because, well, let's be honest here. We share audience. Now, the battle lines have been drawn between your old pal Easy and people who listen to that show. For a lot of people who love it, they don't like me. They don't like that I would do this. For people who are upset at that show, and there are plenty, I don't even think that they are interested in what I'm doing on Who Are These Free Beers. But I am literally going with a lot of the gripes that the people who populate the Free Beer and Hot Wings Show subreddit and taking their cues and reviewing the audio that they themselves said, what the fuck is this segment about loading the dishwasher? And that's a perfect place to start for Who Are These Free Beers. The show did a segment about the best way to load the dishwasher. By the way, yesterday, and we might have to review this too, I heard a discussion about bumblebees. And if the story had, it was our old pal Free Beer, if Smug Beer had a point in the story, it would be an interesting thing to have talked about. Point or funny. And it trailed off in the most outrageous way, met with so much silence. I couldn't believe it. He was describing when him and one of his 8 kids decided that they wanted to swat a tennis racket at the bumblebee population around his house. And that was it. That needs to be featured on Who Are These Free Beers. It's stuff like that. If when I was on that show, I would never dream of bringing up something so dull the way it was described. The only time I would ever bring up a story from home is if it had a ridiculous apex and a bit of hilarity. There's got to be a point to it. Jackie and Jim ditching the car. Jackie walking in when mom and dad are having sex. Things like that. Not my kids are running around the yard swatting at bumblebees with a tennis racket. You get it? You see how that is? Well, anyway. That's what I plan on doing with Ben. Now, other than on this show and mentioning it from time to time on my social media, that's it. That's all I've done to get the word out. That's all I can do. Patrick, though, who is super new in the audience and very bullish about what I do here on this show, being that he was a former fan of them. And this Patrick goes way back, like decades of listening to the old Free Beer and Hot Wings show. Listened to Nashville originally. Now he lives in, I believe it's South Carolina. Or is it North Carolina? I think it's South Carolina. And supports on the Patreon. And he's constantly going on the subreddit and working in the name of my show on there. And I said to him, I go, you're going to get banned. They do not like that on there, on that subreddit. They only like, well, first of all, no one really says anything positive on the subreddit, on the Free Beer and Hot Wings Show subreddit. It's usually just people who are pissed off about something. There's very little positive that is on there. If anyone is going to post anything, it's going to be negative. However, they're not so negative that if you post something about me, they're not going to go, yeah, Eric Zane. They don't like me there. I'm banned. They won't let me say shit. So I went over to it yesterday and let's see. Patrick created a thread. He is, by the way, Suspicious Maximum 34 on Reddit. And he actually, And I can't believe it hasn't been deleted. He wrote a thread titled, "Who Are These Free Beers?" Now, again, not everybody there is going to know. In fact, I would say very few are going to know what I even mean by the title. It's a spinoff of Who Are These Podcasts, which is a spinoff of Opie and Anthony Jocktober. And then Who Are These Zanes? You know, it's all, if you have a review show, you have a Who Are These prior to it. So this is a clip review show that Ben and I are doing. Aram writes, Hot Wings tried to bring his family into the show with every day as an adventure, like he was the first person to have a child. I remember that. We made a super cut of him saying, every day's an adventure. Every day's an adventure. Radio voice Linda says, none of their families are remotely interesting. No, they're very interesting. I mean, I talk to Free Beer's wife's ex all the time. His name is Cole or Coleman. Great guy. It's very interesting. If he'd tell that shit, now that would be interesting. The conversations I have with Cole about Free Beer, he should be talking about that shit. That's the stuff people are interested in. Corey says, bees are finally coming back. Leave them alone. Corey says, did Free Beer's wife's ex-husband reach out to you? Yes and no. First, Free Beer's wife's ex-mother-in-law reached out to me. This is after Greg went fucking ham on her and her son, Coleman, on the radio. I mean, he let him have it. And so the next thing I know, I'm in a conversation with Free Beer's wife's ex-mother-in-law. I think her name is Cheryl. Is that her name? Can't remember. Anyway, I have her in my phone. Nice lady. And then the next thing I know, I'm talking to this dude, Cole, about Greg. And so Cole has 3 kids. And they're the ones that part of the time they're over at Greg's house. So I've had a lot of conversations with Cole. Great guy. Nice dude. Ryan says, I've never heard any of this. It's fascinating. Yeah, I kept it pretty close to the vest, but there's no harm in me discussing that I've made a new friend. So every once in a while I'll get a text from him about like some awkward moment that happened. And then I go, dude, when you pick up your kids, you got to have me in the passenger seat of your car when we go to Greg's house. And we had a big laugh about that one. I go, or I don't know, kids concert or something like that, or have me pick up your kids. And he's all about it. He is all about it. He is very fun and very funny. I like him a lot, and I like his mother. Amanda says, do some kind of announcing for the kids' sports teams. Have Cole wear an Eric Zane show podcast T-shirt, says Rich. Kyle says, maybe we are running by Smug Beer's house, because we are at the park running. Corey says, I take it the divorce didn't go over peacefully then. I have no idea. I'm guessing not. Yeah, Cole is he's a good pal of your old pal Eric Zane. Anyway, where was I? So Patrick writes, it's been formally announced that the first edition of Who Are These Free Beers will be next Wednesday, May 24th on the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. Now I got to correct you right there. That is not true. It's not on the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. It's its own podcast. It's a separate show. And we're going to record it on Wednesday of next week. It won't be live. However, it may be live in the future. For this first one, I'm kind of making sure that everything goes the way it should without it. Because when you do it live, we'll do it live. You have no room for error. Anyway, that's not the point. Patrick is announcing it on the subreddit. Some topics that will be covered are the infamous How to Load the Dishwasher segment and a Pull the Curtain Back segment where the FBHW guys talk about their new radio coach. It should be funny and give a unique insight. And that's all he said. Well, you're going to get very few people that look on this favorably. This person said Zane must be struggling for listeners again, needs to dip into a job that he got canned from years ago for content to be relevant. I would say I'm always looking for new listeners. Do I need to dip into a job that I got canned from years ago for content to be relevant? No, but I sure want to. Patrick responds with, I think a lot of people will tune in even more than already because of the obvious crossover. Hope you check it out. Now, Patrick is nothing but polite. That's not his game to be an asshole. Very measured in what he says. This same guy thinks that Patrick is me and says, good luck, Zane. Patrick says, I'm definitely not Zane, friend. This first guy says, oh, sorry, Ben. Patrick says, no, I'm not Ben either. This guy writes, shut up, Zane, you're gay. And he writes, Y-O-U-R, you're gay. This person writes, huh? Doesn't get it, doesn't know what's going on. This person writes, so sad. This is so sad. Oh. This person writes, pathetic. So when I see that, that is all just music to my ears. This person writes, I was so a Zane fan and was definitely on the Zanecast idea from the start. But man, that dude sucks on his own with no supporting good cast. It's all just loud and obnoxious. 20-something humor. Time to grow up, old man. You aren't that young or funny anymore. All right. So that's a scathing review. Patrick, always polite, says it sounds like you don't like Zane and you find his humor juvenile. Maybe this isn't for you then. I personally love the show and find it very entertaining. I would say check out Who Are These Free Beers? Because as a fan of both shows at one time or another, it's relatable for sure. This guy says, LOL, it's definitely juvenile. He's a 50-year-old man baby who screams all the time. Now, wait a minute. I haven't screamed once since I started this show today. I don't know. Maybe he checked me out when I first started or something. I mean, I don't really remember how I sounded back 4.5 years ago. And I don't know if he's listened lately, but I don't think I have the energy to sit around and scream. You got one thing right. I'm not young anymore. And some would say not funny anymore. But enough people think that I can do this for a living and only have to be a fry cook a couple days a week. And then about it being juvenile, I don't know about that. I try to just talk about the things that are going on in the world and in my own personal life. I don't know how juvenile that can be. You know, I just spent a good portion of the opening monologue talking about the mortality of my father, my interaction with the lady at the blood center for my kidney donation. I mean, fucking juvenile? Can't be juvenile, right? At least that can't be juvenile. Sure, there are some things I talk about as being juvenile, like the blood Nazi making her moist because of my my charms. Sure, that's juvenile. Kenny writes, I'm glad I don't live on Reddit with smug beer and hot wings collective dick down my throat like those fucks. Ryan writes, come on, you're pretty funny and not terribly old, I suppose. Thank you, Ryan. And then he adds, I know it's all personal style, but the content driven in the 8 o'clock hour on this show is so far is above and beyond the dumb shit they put out, like Chasing Bees. You're going to love my review of Free Beer's Chasing Bees with a Tennis Racket segment. All right. So there, hey, you know what? I'm thinking that at some point, my pal Cole needs to be on the show. In fact, can you imagine if Cole is a guest roaster on Who Are These Free Beers? Now, I would definitely tape that one in advance, or I'd have to have a big pep talk with Cole, because he is not a satisfied smug beer customer. Out of all the people that has an axe to grind with smug beer and smug beer's wife, I would say his axe is bigger than my axe. It's a big fucking axe. I might run it by him and make that decision his, of course. Well, ultimately, it would be his decision. I don't want to get him in any trouble. But can you imagine we're reviewing the show with the ex-husband of one of the show members' wives? Oh, my God. All right. So we've covered a lot of ground today in the first 40 minutes of this show. I revealed to you my relationship with Cole. We talked about my dad. We talked about the blood Nazi. Kenny says, what if you get Greg's smug beer's ex-wife and him? Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. She doesn't want anything to do with any of this nonsense. She's pretty low-key, pretty chill, I think. At least she always was back in the day. You had to know that there was trouble in paradise back in the day when we were on the radio show. And Freebird would say, yeah, my wife's going to be leaving for a week. Oh, yeah? What's going on? Oh, yeah, she's going on a silent retreat, hot house yoga or something like that. I think there was one point when she was staying in like a teepee for like a week alone without him. We're like, really? Oh, yeah. We're like, oh, boy. That doesn't sound great. Well, anyway, she was always nice to me. So thank you, Patrick, for posting to Reddit. Who Are These Free Beers? We'll record next week. All right. So this show, as I indicated, I need questions for Dear Meathead, Eric at ericzaneshow.com on the Shoreliners Striping inbox. Thank you. If you are watching the show on Facebook, Facebook.com/Eric Zane fan page. Thank you. If you're watching on Twitch, at Eric Zane Show on Twitch. Thank you. Please follow me on those platforms if you aren't already. Follow me on YouTube too, as well. Eric Zane Show on YouTube. Subscribe to that. But the full show is available only on Twitch. So I'm about to disconnect you folks on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. If you want the full show as it happens live, you go to twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live so you can hear me yell and tell juvenile 20-year-old jokes. Twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. Or download the Twitch app and search Eric Zane Live. It's that simple. Follow the page so you know when I go live. Subscribe to it. Simply by linking up your Amazon Prime account, you get a free subscription once a month. Corey is not using that free subscription. He's using it on some stupid video gamer who sucks. You should use it on the Eric Zane Show podcast. That way you can get the show minus commercials. Everything I'm saying right now, when I finish up at about 10 a.m. Eastern time, I then turn around and make that audio podcast available for download. That's where the lion's share of people consume the show on their favorite podcasting platform. Just search Eric Zane Show. There it is. Subscribe to it, and off you go. These are all simple, free things that you can do to support the show. Even if you do not listen on an audio platform, please find me on an audio platform and subscribe to it. I get internet points, and believe it or not, they help. As always, patronize the sponsors. Thank you so much. Try to sit through the ads. You can get a T-shirt, ericzaneshow.com. Click merch, and that is going to do that. Send me an email if you ever want to chat. I always love the correspondence. Eric@ericzaneshow.com on the Shoreliners Striping inbox. Thank you to all of you on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for checking the show out. Here, I'll send you on your way.